Welcome, everybody, to the NFL Presidential Address. We'll be doing this show once a week all year. And, well, once the season starts, I'll be going down every game on the board, top to bottom, sides and totals, some fantasy picks, survivor picks. So hope you guys join us during the season. Until the season starts, we're going to be doing division previews. Last week was the AFC East. You guys can check that out on our YouTube channel, WagerTalk TV. I got a lot of great comments, so thank you to all the people who watched and commented. Really appreciated. Today, we're going to do the AFC North, and what a division this is. I mean, some would argue this is the best division in all of football. Three real contenders, the Cleveland Browns, Baltimore Ravens, and Pittsburgh Steelers, and an up-and-coming team with Joe Burrow's Cincinnati Bengals. I don't think they're going to be up and coming this year, but watch out over the next few years, especially as Pittsburgh ages. Last year, they got three teams into the playoffs. And, well, I'm going to start by telling you this year, I think we're only going to get one team from this division in the playoffs. And I'm going to start right off the bat with that very team, and that is the Cleveland Browns. Last year's record for the Browns, 11-5. That's 11 wins, 5 losses. And the win-loss total for this year is 10.5. I like the over, guys. I see a clear path for Cleveland to go 12-5. And I would suggest making a 2-unit play on over the total of 10.5 wins. My favorite bet, though, and my favorite bet in this entire AFC North segment is Cleveland Browns to win the division. You could get upwards of 165. That's plus 165 for the Browns to win the division. And let's do a little deeper dive on why. I think this team is excellent on both sides of the field. They have a really good defense. They had a great defense last year, too. I mean, they were in a few games. One that comes to mind where I think it was 51-50 that obviously skews the defensive numbers, but on a whole, this is a very strong defense. And now they've added Clowney to the mix and 2 strong rookies. They did lose 2 of their secondary, but they did add McKinley. And look, with that pass rush, I think this defense is going to be a top 5 defense in football. Their coach, Stefanowski, second year as their head coach. And last year, I felt like he really turned the culture of the team around. I felt like Cleveland was enjoying football. They were not getting as penalized as they were in the prior to Stefanowski. And they look like they're just having fun, which I consider to be very important because with smiles comes wins. Last year, they did go 7-3 in 1-score games. That's really important. You can look at it in 2 directions. One, luck does come into play, winning 1-score games. So they could have the inverse this year. But I prefer to look at it as that really suggests that this team is a confident team. They don't make as many mistakes as they used to make in the past. They don't get down when behind, and that they are capable both defensively and offensively of either holding that final drive from their opposition or connecting on their final drive to win the game. So I actually like the fact that they won 7 out of 10 1-score games last year. I think it bodes well moving into the future. As far as the style of how this team plays, this team is a run-first football team. And we saw what Stefanowski did with the Minnesota Vikings a couple of years ago. Cleveland is taking the same kind of identity as that Minnesota Vikings team. Last year, they were 4th in the league in rushing attempts and 3rd in the league in rushing yards. This year, they might have the best running game in all of football with Chubb and Hunt. This sets up an incredible play action opportunity for Baker Mayfield. And one thing we saw about Baker is he's got really good accuracy, and he's loaded on wide receiver. Landry, Beckham, they've got a good tight end as well. So, if you're going to be a run-first football team, There's going to be a lot of 20, 30-yard passing plays that will result from the front seven of the defense of the other team pinching to stop that excellent run. Last year, they were 27th in pace of play. And this is really important because not only are they running the ball more often than not, but they're also running the clock down as well. They're in no rush to get off the field. They're in no rush to go on to their next play. So when you take a look at it as a whole, I'm going to be looking to bet the Cleveland Browns under the total in most games. And I'm also going to be looking to bet Cleveland as short favorites. But I am looking to fade them as long favorites. So if they're minus a touchdown or more, I'm looking to fade them. If they're inside of a touchdown, I'm looking to bet on them. But the play on Cleveland moving forward is to really focus on under the total. When you're the 27th slowest team in the league, when you're running the ball fourth out of every team in the league, and when you have a defense that is as stout as theirs, I think we're going to see a lot of unders. So to summarize, I'm looking to play under on most Cleveland games. I'm looking to play them as short favorites and fade them as long favorites. I am personally betting Cleveland at plus 165 to win the division, and I'm making half a bet size from my division win on Cleveland over the total of 10.5 wins. I see a 12-5 record for the Cleveland Browns, and they are going to be an exciting, fun team to watch. I messed up the name of the Cleveland Browns head coach. I called him Stefanowski. I have a friend, first name Stefan, last name Owski. That's not true. I just screwed it up, but his name is Stefanski. So all you guys who commented last week that I called Cam Newton Cam Stewart, another friend of mine, works with Gabe Morency, awesome guy. You know, as you get old, you have these names in the back of your head and you just mess them up. But trust me, I know the name of the Cleveland Browns coach, Stefanski, and I think he's excellent. Let's talk about the Baltimore Ravens. Last year, this team was 11-5. They are currently plus 115 to win the division. I already told you guys, I think Cleveland is going to win the division at plus 165. So I do not suggest taking that Baltimore Ravens bet at all. Their win-loss record for this season is 11.5, but it's minus 160 to the under. Now, I really do like the under here. I think this team is going to go 10-7. But I am not prepared to lay the juice. If you guys can find 11 at even money, I do suggest you do a half bet size on under the total of 11, plus or minus a small amount of money on the Baltimore Ravens. Look, this team, and your opinion of them is really going to come down to your opinion of Lamar Jackson. I do not think Lamar Jackson is as great as his record has shown the last few years. And I think we are going to see a regression. I think we already started seeing a regression last year as well. 2019, Lamar Jackson threw 36 touchdowns. Last season, 26 touchdowns. 2019, Lamar threw 6 interceptions. Last season, 9. We're starting to see defenses slowly figure him out, put spies on him, and especially when you have to play Pittsburgh and Cleveland twice every single year. Both of these teams, real stout defenses, real quality linebacking core, good edge rushers, especially in Cleveland. And I think what's going to happen is these teams are literally building their defense around stopping Lamar Jackson. And this is already, we've already noticed this from last year. Man, you look at Baltimore and you go deep and you find that this team was 32nd in passing yards, 32nd in the league in passing yards, 31st in the league in pace of play. This is a slow-moving team with incredible focus on the run. Thank God I'm not a Ravens fan because, man, this is boring football at a new level, unless, of course, you like watching people run around the field. I personally am a fan of passing attacks. So for me, Not a team I'm excited to watch. Um, they have very little wide receivers in this on this team as well, and they really did nothing to fix this problem at all. So you take a look at the fact that this is a run first football team, even with their quarterback looking to run more than to throw. This is a team that only threw 26 passing touchdowns last year. This is a team that is 32nd in passing yards, 31st in pace of play. And all of that equals me looking to bet this team under the total. Um, I think their defense is outstanding as well. Now, I grant you from a wide receiver core, they picked up Sammy Watkins. Whoop-de-doo. I mean, Sammy Watkins, I think he's towards the end of his career. He was okay at Kansas City, but anybody would be. I don't think he's some kind of massive pickup. It would be very interesting to see their rookie Bateman and what he can do. I do, however, love their tight ends. Mark Andrew is awesome. And my suggestion, if any of you guys are playing fantasy football, I think he's a top 3 tight end, and I think he's going to be somebody Lamar leans on a lot this year. So don't sleep on Mark Andrews if you're playing fantasy. They have an outstanding running game. Lamar, Gus, Dobbins, their D is top 5. Like the Browns, I'm looking to play this team under the total, even more so than the Browns. And I think we're going to see a lower number than the Browns, whereas I think you're going to get high 40s in Browns games. I think you're going to get mid to low 40s in Baltimore Ravens games. I think what the difference between Cleveland and Baltimore is both teams are going to be run first, but Cleveland's got amazing wide receivers and a very accurate quarterback who is at his best off the play action, whereas Lamar is not an accurate quarterback and not as great in play action. So I don't see a lot of 30, 40-yard bombs coming out of the Baltimore Ravens team. The final 7 games, and I want to mention this, guys, because if you are looking to bet Baltimore to win if you're looking to bet Cleveland to win the division, you might even want to wait because Baltimore's schedule is easy at the beginning of the year, but their final 7 games include the Browns and the Steelers twice, and the Packers and the Rams. So I would expect Baltimore to win early and go ahead in the division, and then leave the door open for the Browns to win the division as a whole. So I am not high on Baltimore this year. I do not think they're going to be a playoff team. I think they're going to be within 1 game of making the playoffs. So to summarize, I'm totally good with you guys betting under the total of 11 if you can find that number at even money. I don't like you betting Baltimore to win the division. However, if you do bet Baltimore to win the division, do bet it now because their second half of the season is going to be their struggle. And that's it for the Ravens. Let's move on to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Man, this Pittsburgh Steelers team, one thing I love about them is betting against them. Just like the Dallas Cowboys, there's never great value betting Pittsburgh. Ben Roethlisberger, I think he's at the end of his career. Frankly, I think he should have retired a few years ago, but everybody still loves the lore of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Last year, they won their division. They went 12-4. They had the easiest schedule in football last year. This year, they have the hardest schedule in football, and that has been reflected by their win-loss record this year, which is only 8.5. So if you compare that to Baltimore's win-loss record of 11.5 and the Browns' win-loss record of 10.5, the odds makers out there are already telling you something important, and that is they expect Pittsburgh to end 3rd in this division, and frankly, so do I. My projected record for Pittsburgh this year is 8-9, and I think that's best case scenario. I don't mind if you guys look to bet under 8.5, but I'm not. I'm too close with my projected record to the line. There's just really no value there. But I do see an 8-9 record at the end of the year. Pittsburgh is plus 450 to win the division. I think you'll have more fun burning your money, maybe lighting a blunt up with a $100 bill. But that's really the amount of chance I think Pittsburgh has of winning this division. I want to get this out, guys. I do not believe in this team, and I wouldn't even be surprised if they finished last. Like, they and Cincinnati are going to be much closer than what people think. They have a Hall of Fame QB that should have retired a few years ago. Ben struggles to throw the ball more than 15 yards. There were games last year where Ben was underthrowing and overthrowing wide receivers all over the field. I would not be blown away if Big Ben was the world's most expensive bench warmer by the end of the season. It is a shame they don't have decent backup quarterbacks, so perhaps he'll finish the year. But man, if Jason Garrett was a backup quarterback right now, I think Big Ben would be riding the pine. They also have a terrible offensive line. You would have thought that Pittsburgh would have tried to fix their offensive line this year. This team last year, they just struggled to run the ball. That is both reflected on bad running backs and bad offensive lines, and of course, injuries as well. And we saw Big Ben just get run around the pocket all year last year. They did pick up Harris at running back this year, and I think he should be a top 5 fantasy running back only because I expect Pittsburgh to be the number 1 running team in all of football. When you have a quarterback that can't throw the ball, wide receivers, well, look, Juju and the Canadian guy have gone blank. They're good wide receivers. I don't think they're Odell Beckham, Jarvis Landry wide receivers. So I think you're looking at a team that has mediocre wide receivers, mediocre tight end, an old and decrepit quarterback, a bad offensive line. They got nothing but running. So if you guys are playing fantasy, I would definitely look to take Harris. I think he's going to be a top 5 running back because I think he's just going to get the ball a ton. I plan on looking to bet Pittsburgh under the total almost all year. I think if you bet them under the total blind start to finish, you will win. I think they're the best under team in this division. And I've already told you I like the unders in Baltimore and I like the unders in the Browns games. But Pittsburgh is just going to struggle to score. And to their credit, they still have a very good defense. So I think teams are going to struggle to score against them, and Pittsburgh's going to struggle to score. And there's going to be a lot of field goals in Pittsburgh Steeler games. Cincinnati Bengals. Look, here's a team that I'm pretty much going to ignore a lot this year. And that's what happens the way I handicap. I look at teams, we're playing baseball right now. I currently play a lot of the same teams over and over again. Milwaukee, the Giants, the Dodgers, the Blue Jays, the White Sox, etc. I normally play good teams in short favorite positions. That's sort of how I handicap. However, conversely, it allows me to just ignore teams. Next week, I'll be doing the AFC West, where we'll talk about the LA Raiders. And that's another example of a team that I'm just not going to be playing on a lot this year. So in regards to the Cincinnati Bengals, this is a wait and see team. I think this is a team that is going to improve and going to improve fast. I just don't know how fast. They lost Russ and AJ Green on wide receiver, but look at this wide receiving core. I think this is the second best wide receiving core in their division. Higgins, Boyd, Chase. This is a good wide receiving core. They got a good running back in Mixon, who looks to be healthy. They have a balanced offense, that is for sure. And I just don't know what to do as far as their win-loss record. 6.5 games is their win-loss record for this year. This is just an outright pass for me. Look, if a gun was held to my head, I'd bet under the total only because they have to play Cleveland and Baltimore each twice. And I don't think they sweep Pittsburgh. I think they go 1-1 there. Going to be really fun to watch Joe Burrows. I'm very high on Joe Burrows. I actually think, between Burrows and Herbert and Allen and Mahomes and Kyler Murray, the amount of young, talented quarterbacks coming up is just so exciting. And I think Joe is going to be in the top 3 of that group with Allen and Mahomes. The issue of Cincinnati, just like Pittsburgh, is their offensive line and protecting Burrows. And Again, they did nothing during the offseason to really fix this problem. Their defense, however, is even worse. They absolutely stink. Last year, they were in the bottom 5 of the league, and this year, I think they're going to be in the bottom 5 of the league again. The only solace that Cincinnati can take with that porous defense is, well, they get to play some porous offenses in Pittsburgh and Baltimore and a slow-paced offense in Cleveland, which might skew their numbers. But this Cincinnati team is loaded at the wide receiving position, have a really decent running game, a really good up-and-coming young quarterback. So from an offensive perspective, I think we're going to see them put points up. From a defensive perspective, man, I think they're going to allow many games over 30 points. So I am looking to bet Cincinnati over the total throughout the year. Obviously, we don't do that blind, but that's sort of where I am leaning. So to summarize the AFC North, I'm really only making a few bets here. I made a lot more bets with the AFC East, but my bets for the AFC North is my favorite bet by far, and if you were only to make one, that's the Browns to win the division at plus 165. A medium-sized bet, or say a half of what you would bet the Browns to win the division, on the Ravens under 11. A small bet on Pittsburgh under in their win-loss record of 8.5, and a small bet on the Browns over 10.5 wins. Guys, I can't thank you enough for joining us every week on the NFL Presidential Address. Next week, we're going to look at the AFC West. Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next week.